It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
Special thanks to everyone for joining me back on another edition of Listen In with KNN. We had part one earlier, so special thanks to Jim Rooney for joining me on the show. A very good conversation about the NFL's Rooney Rule. And next, I'm bringing in somebody who's from the area, which I'm very excited about. We are going to talk some DC basketball hoops because we're still talking this documentary that Kevin Durant put out, Basketball County in the Water. Yes, I'm a little biased. You guys know, born and bred in the DMV. So my next guest knows his stuff. So without further ado, I would like to welcome none other than Pennington Greene to the show. Pennington, how are you?
How you doing today? Pleasure to be here.
I'm good. It's so good to meet you. And I have to shout out Mr. Tyrone Tate for connecting us. He said, Kelsey, I got you. You need somebody that knows the area. I got just the man for you. And lo and behold, we were connected. So shout out to Mr. Tate.
I put in a little bit of work when it comes to the history of Washington, D.C. basketball. In the old days, I used to have to go to the Library of Congress and get the microfiche and comb through the microfiche before technology. And my little sister said, don't you have anything more important to do with your life? I'm passionate about D.C. basketball.
What's more important than DC basketball? I would have been right with you doing the same exact things. Pennington, I think right now you're doing it all. I mean, let's get into it. So you were featured actually in the Showtime documentary that I featured earlier. I'm gonna give you some time to kind of toot your own horn and talk about your role in the documentary and why was it so important to you?
Well, once again, I started working on this about 25 years ago at the Library of Congress. I put together the website, dcbasketball.com. And the more I dug, it was like I'm looking for fossils, you know what I mean? Every time I would find a new find, it would just freak me out. So I kept digging and digging, getting more and more information. And so I became kind of the go-to guy when it comes to DC basketball history. And so when they put the documentary together, they wanted to go back to the beginning of PG County basketball history. So they came to Atlanta, we sat down, and I started giving them the business. And then I told them I still play ball. They called me like the real Uncle Drew, for real. Yeah. And they said, really? You talk a lot of trash. So I started talking a little trash. They said, would you film some of this trash talking? I said, absolutely. And before you know it, my phrase early in the film that says, PG County guy, we serve buckets to America. So that kind of went over really well. And we provide buckets for America. So
I like that.
Really well. Got me plugged into the film.
Yeah, I love that. Look, PG County, we know in the area all of the great players that come out of it, but I really think nationally that people didn't know. They're like, wait, this suburb outside of DC is doing all of that. And we're like, yeah, it's been doing all of that and more. And I think really this area should have been long known for the basketball players that we produce. I think football too, but basketball wise, look, you're talking to someone who went to Maryland, went to Georgetown from the area. I've seen it. All right. I'm not just talking. I've seen the greatness come out. We've seen so many. And of course, in the documentary, you feature guys that we know, Kevin Durant. I mean, look at the player that he's become, Victor Oladipo and so many others. So let's get into that. I mean, talk about just who are some of your favorite basketball players that have come out of this area?
But before I go into the great players, just the whole story behind the whole storyline behind the film, Martin Luther King, 1968, the riots. It was a very similar story for me because I was living in the west side of Baltimore. Everyone knows the story of the wire. It was right there in the midst of Emerson Village. And after that situation, my mother decided she wanted to move to the suburbs. Right. So I left West Baltimore and I ended up in Prince George's County. So that whole storyline that they came up with was real for me.
Wow.
But when it comes to the tradition and history of Washington, D.C. basketball, it starts with Elgin Baylor. He's the first superstar in the NBA. They moved from the Minneapolis Lakers to the LA Lakers, first team west of the Mississippi. So DC and Maryland is hard to separate the two, but the evolution of today, a lot of the guys have actually moved into the county, but guys go into the city to play, vice versa. So when it comes to the history, guys roll call, like in the 50s, there's a guy named Ducey Smith. First of all, it all starts with Ken Freeman at Fremont Heights.
Yeah.
He got there in 1951. He left in 71, and he won like 10 state championships.
Right.
And Ken Freeman goes to Armstrong High School. And in 1926, they had a national high school national championship. Armstrong won the first 2 national championships for the whole country.
Yeah.
So he comes from that lineage of excellence with Charlie Baltimore, who won 90% of his games. He then ends up at Fremont Heights, and Freeman was that kind of guy who stood at the front door in the morning when you walked in. They asked you if you had an iron at home because your shirt was wrinkled. Did you forget to tie your shoe? He was
I love it. Yeah.
Very meticulous. And if the floor wasn't swept properly, it was all said and done, he'd sweep it again before he started practice. Very meticulous. And he started that great tradition because during segregation, Prince George's County had only really one school.
Right.
So people from Glenarden, Brentwood, Lakeland, Highland Oaks, everybody went to the city. So it was like a virtual all-star team. It was like what the Mather was in the 70s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
All the best players congregated to Fremont Heights.
Yeah.
And they would beat you like you stole something.
Wow. And I love that you touched on that because actually let's go into your background. So you were all met in high school, right? High school basketball player at Parkdale High School in Riverdale, Maryland, and you captained both your high school and your University of South Florida basketball team. But let's talk about your high school. Tell me, what was it like playing ball there?
Well, it was great because when I got to Prince George's County, my 9th grade year, the 1971 Parkdale team upset John Thompson and St. Anthony's. They had won 18 in a row. Yeah. They were #1 team in the country. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, I play with these guys every day. Yeah. They just beat the #1 team in the nation. I might be able to play a little more than I think.
I might be something, right? Like, look, I might be doing something.
I'm gonna do this. So those guys graduate. They win the state championship. They were ranked #2 in the area, which is the highest ranking in Prince George's County history up to that point. So now I go into my varsity career. In my senior year, I just have a break. I had one of those wonderful A1 top of the line type high school careers. I was averaging 25-7. Shooting 48 from the field, 80 from the line. You know, I had a free throw game where I shot 18 to 20. Wow. And the biggest highlight, I always ask God, what's that greatest moment? Yeah. We had a battle for first place, a day game at Bowie, and I erupted for 35, and I ended up on the cover of the Washington Post sports section. High school guy. Nice. And when I got to school that day, they said, dude, you're on the cover.
The cover.
I'm like, we got the Bullets, we got the, this, the Redskins. High school guys don't make the cover. So I went to the library, flipped the paper open, and it was a full-size picture of me flying through the air. I said, oh my God. So I put my feet up on the desk, and I said, they said, you going to class? I said, no, I'm going to sit here all day. So I sat there all day. I had a couple girls bring me lunch. And I sat there all day. It was really something special. Yeah. And my high school coach was special. His name was Stan Kernan. He played at McKinley Tech during segregation. His team was called the Fabulous Five. And they actually won 38 straight games. Yeah. He ended up in the McNeese College. He's in the Louisiana Hall of Fame. So that's who groomed me and gave me the green light. It was a blessing. Yeah. As we roll out of that, John Thompson starts to look at me. He's just leaving St. Anthony's, going to Georgetown. Yes. And so John was like, Penny Greene, let me ask you a question, son. When I came to recruit you, you started shooting when you walked in the door. Did you ever see a shot you didn't like, son? Yeah. I said, John, you recruited on defense. Offense would have been a bonus. Yeah. So that was a wonderful career. I mean, they had bumper stickers, Penny Greene and the Green Machine.
Wow.
It was huge. I was very happy. Very happy.
You should be. I mean, bumper stickers and everything. That's when you're official, all right? That's when you're official, when you're officially on that. And let me tell you, Pennington, I am so happy. So for everybody that knows this, me and Pennington talked before the show. He says, this is going to be audio or video. I'm so happy we're live streaming this because your pure, raw emotion is just one audio wouldn't have done it justice. So I have to
Kelsey, I had to actually run out and get a haircut for real. I mean,
oh my God. Like, I feel special. Special.
A DC fade.
For the show.
Yeah, that DC fade.
Look, I did the baby hairs for you, just for you. I had to shout out DC baby hairs, all right? So we're making sure we're looking good. We're making sure we're looking good. All right,
Absolutely
so then, thank you. So you go from high school, you go to USF, right? Your career there was just incredible. I think it's only right to call you a USF legend, all right? I pray proper due where it's due. So let's talk about your basketball career there. Take me from the beginning, and then we're going to go to the end.
Well, that was a tricky thing because I made 13 All-Met. I was a little disappointed. But looking back in retrospect, there were so many great players in my class. I mean, Keith Herron, he broke the record of all-time scoring record at Villanova.
Right.
Harry Nickens, he is in the MEAC Hall of Fame out of Spingarn. LaVelle Joyner was all conference. Kenny Carr was 10 years in the NBA. Duck Williams led Notre Dame to the Final Four. Dave Cruz won the ACC champ. So I'm like, dude, there's no way I should have been on third team. But in retrospect, there's only so many positions. There's not enough ink in the printer for DC basketball.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It's just so much. So I go to the preliminary game at the Capital Classic. It was the first Capital Classic. That night, Moses Malone, Skip Wise, and those guys played. Which I must say, I was fortunate to play in a thing called the Tournament of Champions my senior year.
Yeah.
And it was all the best players on the East Coast, college coaches. Phil Jackson actually had a team from New Jersey. He brought
wow. Yeah.
Phil Jackson.
Just think about that. Yeah.
He was throwing a funny looking hook shot or something. But the best players in the city and a high school team, Skip Wise, considered the greatest basketball player in the history of Baltimore basketball, even with Reggie Williams,
Baltimore. That's a big thing.
Moses Malone came up from Virginia. Because they kept saying, let's see what Moses can do. Myself and a couple other guys, Cornell, Joe Jenkins, Robert Churchwell. Bottom line is we won that tournament. It was major. You know what I mean? And when Moses got to rolling, they kept saying, Moses. I thought he might walk on water next. I didn't know what was next. I just thought he might walk on water. So now I get to the Capital Classic, and I'm going to go to Georgetown. I'm thinking Georgetown. I'm thinking that's the place for me. I'm a little concerned about my buddies showing up on campus, but I said, I should be all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to become more, wise and mature and things like that.
Yeah.
But Bill Gibson was coaching at Virginia, growing up watching ACC basketball.
Yeah.
Maryland lefty kept saying he's going to be UCLA at the East.
Yeah.
So Bill Gibson came in when he had Tom McMillan, Lenny Almore in that first recruiting class that was supposed to take him to these heights.
Yeah.
And Virginia beat Maryland like they stole something.
Oh, you had to bring that up. Look, Terp alum, all right? Be nice.
No. I'm going to be gentle. But the fact is, I realized Bill Gibson was a great coach.
Yeah.
He won ACC Coach of the Year, and guys like Norm Sloan. I mean, it was the who's who. The guy who was the general manager for Detroit Pistons, McCloskey, Norm Sloan. It was a bunch of great coaches in ACC.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a second, let me get to figure out what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
He started talking to me. They flew me in. They showed me my room overlooking the pool. He said something about wet t-shirt contests every week. And all logic went out the window. You know what I mean? Logic. I was like, wait, is it John Thompson? And so South Florida was it.
Yes, I'm sure.
I get there as a freshman, and I'm the only freshman. We have all junior college transfers. Pensacola College, Pensacola Junior College, we had 3 players, and they were #1 in the nation junior college.
Wow.
So it was like we were going to be the running rebels of the South, like Nevada, Las Vegas. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I had a decent year. We had a great schedule. Yeah. And so that was good. My sophomore year, I ended up really getting a handle on things. I broke the assist record against South Carolina with Alex English, Hall of Fame. Mike Dunleavy, NBA. Frank McGuire was the coach. And I was like a little loony. I used to go by Coach McGuire. I said, Coach McGuire, South Florida. Yeah. Well, who are we? I think we're going to get y'all today. And he was looking at me like, who is this nut? But we ended up beating them 82-80. Played North Carolina with Dean Smith.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had Phil Ford, Walter Davis, Kupchak, general manager Lakers. Phil Ford, Rookie of the Year. Walter Davis, Phoenix Hall of Fame. Kupchak. They
Yeah.
had like 4 Olympians, and we lost to them by 4. And Dean Smith said they
Not
were
bad.
grateful to get out of Tampa without losing. And I like to tell everybody
Yeah.
the reason is this number 12, Penny Greene, controlled the entire tempo of the game. So I was feeling good about myself my junior,
Yeah.
sophomore year, starting to get a few, pro inquiries. Marty
Mhm.
Blake from the Hawks. And then my junior year, I ended up in Madison Square Garden. My
Mhm.
mother hadn't seen me play because I was in
Oh, yeah.
So my mother showed up in her mink, you know what I mean? Joxia
That's
Greene,
how we do. Yes.
Nutritionist of the Year, National Dietetic Association.
Yes.
And I was in the first game, Iona against us.
Yes.
Seton Hall played UNC Charlotte, and Cincinnati played Rutgers. And then that night, the Knicks in the net. So it was a day of basketball in Madison Square Garden. And I tell everyone, Madison Square Garden, New York City is a different kind of energy when it comes to basketball.
It is.
It's a different kind of appreciation.
Yeah.
I heard LeBron talk about it. I heard Kobe talk about it.
Mhm.
So the game gets going good, and I'm kind of like, okay, but I'm not really in the groove.
Yeah.
The second half starts, and we start to fall behind. And I know if I don't get it together, my mother's in the stands. She's going to be real confused.
Yeah.
So before you know it, I snapped out. It's like the Holy Spirit took over me. and I just went for 15 consecutive points in a row.
Wow.
The guys from New York, only New Yorkers, are running by me whispering, "Good shot, money." I'm like, wait a second. I'm busting your boy. You saying good shot, money? Long story short, the game ends. I get a standing ovation from 12,000 in Madison Square Garden.
Special moment.
Doesn't register for like 15, 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm just watching a game, and world's most famous sports arena. I'm like, wait a second.
That's huge.
I had my best day in the world's most famous sports arena. So feeling good about that.
Yeah.
Senior year, playing with 4 freshmen. We've picked to come in next to last place in the Sun Belt Conference. We're actually in a conference now. That was Bill Gibson's original dream. By the way, Bill Gibson died of a heart attack my junior year. His assistant, Chip Connors, took over. And me and 4 freshmen, we get to the Sun Belt Conference championship game, and we lose to Jacksonville. So we fell 1 game short of the NCAA.
Wow.
I ended up getting into the Atlanta Hawk camp. I was all South, all Sun Belt Conference. Only guy in the conference to score over 500 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists.
Wow.
And I would always tell him, I would whisper to him, I'm representing that PG County, y'all.
There you go. We're one of a kind. We're one of a kind. This is what I think. I love it. And actually, I want to take a fan question going off of your story. So the question is from Anton Smith. And hey, Antoine, thanks for watching. How is the culture different in South Florida than up north? We the north in DC, huh?
Well, when I got to South Florida, it was very sluggish. I
Yeah.
mean, they were trying to build basketball culture. It was only the 3rd year of the program. But the impressive thing about it is he's put us against the best competition. We
Right.
played Dayton University with Johnny Davis, who led Portland to an NBA championship. The backcourt partner was a guy named Paxson, 2-time NBA All-Star. So he threw us right into the fire. But the enthusiasm has grown, and the program has grown, and they've polished it all up. But I was really a pioneer of an upstart program.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what I love about you. You don't hold back. I mean, you need to say what you've done, and I love it. Some people, are real modest, but hey, you had to work for it, and so I love that you do that.
The thing that I've done, I started a film called Supreme Courts prior to the Basketball County.
Yeah.
So I interviewed 100 people. I interviewed people on my website all the time. And the thing is, like all my friends say, you always are interviewing others, always talking about others. So this is my one moment to shine. I've been I've been behind the stage and behind the curtain for like about 25 years. So I'm getting ready to get buck wild with it.
Look, this is what this show is for. I ask people not to hold back. I have a big personality. I love what my guests do too. And then so this takes me to my next question then, which we talked about earlier, but we touched on. But you talked about Elgin Baylor. Let's talk about the other great players that came from this area. Because again, the show is based in the DMV, but we're national. So I want to make sure people understand the talent coming out, and even some of the talent that wasn't featured in the film, because I think the film was phenomenal. And I think it really touched on, especially a lot of great players that we all know and love today in the NBA. And of course, it touched on DeMatha and its history. But I mean, talk about just some of your favorites coming out of the area that everyone should know.
Everyone knows Elgin Baylor. They know Dave Bing. They know Austin Carr, #1 draft pick, NBA first Dave Bing, first player to lead the NBA in scoring, first guard.
Yep.
Elgin, first superstar. But the way PG County, no disrespect to this program, to anybody who's listening, we've kind of been a stepchild of DC for the most part over the years.
Yeah.
And it's nothing, negative. It's just that they had such great dynamic players. But if we look back at the PG County history, the guy that I would like to bring up is a guy named Harold Fox. Harold Fox played for Fremont Heights and started as a 9th grader and was all county.
Yeah.
And Fremont Heights was that school with the top of the line. They would win the state championships year in and year out. They had tradition second to none. So for him to start as a freshman was very mind-boggling. He then gets rezoned. They rezone. He ends up at Northwestern.
Right.
He's all met his sophomore, junior, and senior. All met.
Yeah.
And in high school, he scored a 64-point game. The last 6 weeks of the season, he was averaging 41.
Wow.
He scored 41 in the state champion semifinals. And then he had one of those ends to his career that was so dramatic because he got injured in the final game. They fall behind. They take him to the locker room. He's injured. The team's losing. He limps back onto the court. He scores the last 8 points, and they win the state championship.
Wow.
He ends up at Jacksonville, averaged 20 and 5. Didn't get that NBA tenure. A lot of people think if you didn't make the NBA, you really weren't that guy.
Yeah.
But Harold Fox, he was that guy.
He was that guy.
He was that guy. Very clever, very quick like a cat. Clever, had all the trickery, and he was an assassin. You know what I mean? Once he put his foot on the pedal, he was straight at you.
Just talented. All right. We have another comment from a viewer. What about JoJo Hunter? They're asking you. Pennington.
JoJo's a DC guy. I played against JoJo.
Yep.
Joe was a beast. He was the first player to get recruited directly from high school to the pros. I played with Moses Malone. Moses was the first player to go straight from high school to the NBA in 74. JoJo in 76 was the first guard to get that kind of look. He had a herky-jerky. He had a herky-jerky move that would just keep you off balance. When he pulled up, he might pull up with just one hand on the ball. Okay. And he was another assassin. That's one common thread here. DC guys provide wet buckets for America nonstop. He scored a 50. I think he scored a 57 his senior year at Mac. Bad man.
Yeah. I love that you touched on that because I think when I go back to the documentary, and I had John Beckham on this show a couple episodes ago, and we talked about it, and we talked about some of the criticisms that the film got from this area in particular, and some were saying, hey, I mean, we get what it was about PG County, but they said, hey, what about the DC guys? What about the Baltimore guys? What about the Montgomery County guys? So, I mean, to those that are saying this, you said PG County is a stepchild, but would you say in this area that DC reigns supreme? And I'm talking about DC.
Well, I mean, that's where it all started. I mean, it all started with Armstrong High School. I mean, when teams came, like college teams came to play Howard, North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, whoever was in the MAC, they would come a day early or stay a day late so they could play Armstrong. Armstrong was the high school team.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't disrespect the foundation because everything grew out of DC to the other areas. Mo County, you got to get them in the conversation and had great players. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes Mo County, but Tracy Jackson came out of Mo County, did his thing at Notre Dame. Yep. There's a lot of great players that came out of Mo County. This boy, David Vanderpool, is an NBA coach with Portland. He's doing his thing. And, DC is the mother. It's the mother lode. And then everything, all the limbs and, all the branches grew off of DC. So, I'm giving DC the utmost respect. But in PG County, we get it done, too. And I'm going to tell you something. When I was in high school, and some DC guys would come across that DC line into Maryland, I made sure when they went back, they understood what they got themselves into. We get it done in PG as well.
I love it.
And other legends, one of the most key components to respect in PG County is in 1970, I played against a guy named Stacy Robinson. He was like my main adversary when I came up. We used to bump. Okay. Stacy was a parade All-American at the Garfinkel camp, 5 stars. Yeah. So we played an all-star game. They prohibited him from playing in PG, so he goes to Dunbar. Okay, they upset Long Island Lutheran, who had a 32-game win streak. Bebe Duran, Craig Shelton, Joe Tweet, Stacy Robb. Yeah. So Stacy Robb goes to Dunbar and does his thing. He's a genius, he's our version of Charlie Parker because the coach couldn't start him because the other players would stand around and watch. He was so creative, such a genius on the floor. So that guy is the guy who really gave PG County respect. When he left PG and played in DC and did what he did, they said, "Oh, yeah, well, I guess they can play in PG."
They got a little something, right?
Yeah.
And then staying on PG County. Of course, I told you I went to Maryland for undergrad, and something that was touched on in the documentary and something that all basketball fans know. I want to talk with you about Len Bias. I think it's an important conversation to have. I want to give you the floor to just talk about where he ranks in terms of when we're talking about these great ball players from the area. And of course, we know life was cut too short, way too soon for him. But I think I have to touch on it with you, especially because we're both from the area. So please give me your thoughts.
Well, Lenny Bias, smooth. You know, I never forget. I went to the mall one time with my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She had her girl, and I came back to Landover Mall. And he was hovering over my girl. I'm like, Len, that's my people right there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my bad, Len, my bad. He had his gators on, looking real smooth. You know what I mean? So Lenny Bias was just a ball of energy. Yeah. He had that explosiveness. Yeah. He had that hunger. He was arguably going to be in that same conversation with Mike Jordan.
Yeah,
they had already bumped. They had bumped in college. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of people saying really had a little bit of a heads up on Mike. Obviously, you keep developing as a player. Yeah. You know, he was going to the Celtics, which was the right environment. Red Auerbach was a DC guy. He loved DC ball players. Yeah. Okay. He had Larry Bird get ready to come and work with him. Mm-hmm. And he had the right crew to groom him to the next level. Right. And I just think about Lenny. When I think about Lenny, I just think about straight beast. Because when he dunked on you, he had his hip in your face. You know what I mean? It was insulting when he dunked on you. It wasn't just a regular dunk. He knocked people to the ground. You know what I mean? It was funky. It was funky. Yeah. And Len, I talked to this guy, Troy Weaver, that grew up with him, and he said, you know, Lenny was working out. He was playing every day. He was a little bit awkward, a little gangly. Yeah. He said one day they showed up at the court, and it's like someone hit a light switch. Bloop. He went from awkward to straight grace, and skywalking and dunking and just dominating every situation that he ran into on the court. So Lenny, I look at that situation as one, like I say, a sad situation for us. And the impact that it had on the area. Yeah. But he was exciting. I mean, as a kid, I used to go to University of Maryland basketball camp, so I know that. All right, and then as a college player, I actually worked in the camp. When I worked in the camp, Norm Nixon, Eddie Johnson, Earl Tatum, he would have the best players in the world work his camp so they could play against his team. Mm-hmm. I think NCAA get hip to that. They're like, yeah, too clever, lefty. But so I love Maryland University, and some of my best basketball as far as building confidence was right there in Cofield House, because when you're playing against Duke, and he's the number one pick in the 76 draft, and then when you go out and play against your peers, the confidence level is through the roof. Right. So all due respect to Lenny, great guy, great player. Yeah. And he was getting ready to take us to that next level.
Yeah, I appreciate you touching on that. And then staying with Len Bias, I recently also had Meta World Peace on this show, and we were talking about that 1999 NBA draft class, right? And so a name that everyone from this area knows is Steve Francis, right? So I want to, I was like, I thought you were about to say, I want to hear your thoughts on just Steve Francis and what he meant for basketball.
Oh, no.
As well.
No, Stevie Francis, I got all the most respect. Stevie Franchise, as far as explosiveness, dude could explode. Dude had some rockets. You know what I mean? He had rocket ships. He had like nitro. It's like he drank some nitroglycerin, and he was a space shuttle, and he just took off. You know what I mean? Steve Francis was that guy. I mean, he was first team NBA West squad. You know what I mean? So I just hate that he went to New York, because people don't realize the thing about basketball. A lot of it's chemistry. Yeah. Okay, no matter how talented you are, you have to blend in with other guys. Right. You got to get along with a coach. Yeah. It's a lot of personalities, a lot of egos. Right. I always look at bands. Like, no band stays together long enough when they have success.
That's so true. Yep.
Because the egos get to running wild. So, when you got a bunch of millionaires on the same squad, They don't always work. I wish he
Yeah.
would have stayed in Houston. He was on top of the world. But the reality of the situation is he represented Washington, D.C. the way it was supposed to be represented. And he was hard-nosed. He didn't fear. He had no fear.
Yeah.
And he went at these guys like, okay, I'm here. So what? I don't care what your name is.
Yeah.
Okay, inside this 94 feet, you're going to have to show me. And so I appreciate the way he approached the game. And I got all the utmost respect for Mr. Steve Francis.
Yes, I told you I had to touch on there.
No, you got to plug the Maryland guys.
I had to.
You plug in Maryland guys. Let's plug Adrian Branch.
Yes.
Adrian was at the Mather. He was a Capital Classic MVP. 6'8", smooth. Okay, he could bring the ball all the way down the court. The first guy I saw in a live game, I take that back. The second. First was Stacey Robinson.
Okay.
Throw the ball off the backboard, go get it and smash it. I seen Adrian Nally in a game. Adrian Brandt. Go to the hole.
Yeah.
I thought he lost control, but he actually on purpose threw the ball against the backboard. Went and got it and smashed it on the big board. Adrian Branch, his name doesn't ring out.
Yeah.
He hit the big shot against Ralph Sampson when Virginia was #1 in the nation. He hit the winning jumper. He was with the LA Lakers when they got a ring. And I don't still understand how he was on the bench. I mean, I get Magic. I understand with Magic. But I don't understand why this man didn't get more minutes because he could do it all. Yeah. Bad man. University of Maryland, he's a Terrapin. So you want to plug in Terrapin, I'm plugging Adrian Branch.
Please do. Look, Maryland basketball. Look, if you know this area, you know Maryland basketball. Speaking of which, let me tell you, Pennington, COVID-19 hit. Maryland basketball was doing so good this season. I was ready to put my team far in the bracket. And of course, the year Maryland basketball gets back to some glory, then boom, we get deprived of it. So I had to put that out there. I was very sad. Did you watch any college?
No, I get it. I keep track of college basketball. I keep an NBA. I keep track of high school. I keep track of everything. I like to call myself a basketball aficionado.
Yeah, we put it on the flyer. All right, because we knew.
No. I play. I go to LA Fitness and I catch it. Hey, Pops. You want to play with us, Pops? Do you really want to do that?
You're like, yes.
I would love to. I'm just trying to get some cardio.
Yes.
If you don't want to let me play, I would really appreciate it. So I know every aspect of the game.
Yes, I love that. You talked about you keep up with the NBA, a guy from this area that, had the transition that we thought would be better. And he got a lot of slack for it. And of course, we know he was injured. But I want to talk about Markelle Fultz. I want to get your just thoughts and opinions on how do you think he'll continue to evolve in the NBA? And do you think he'll reach this height? Kind of the expectations that people had for him.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a #1 pick, obviously the expectations are through the roof.
Right.
And there's an adjustment period from junior high to high for most guys.
Right.
High school to college for most guys. Some guys make the transition seamless.
Right.
But the reality is, #1 pick or not, it's a little bit of a transition. Then he had some nagging injuries.
Right.
They kind of, and injuries, they play with your mind in reference to you really giving it 110%.
Right.
But the reality is they rested him. I see this transition that he's made into Orlando.
Right.
And I mean, he's a complete player. He's filling up the boxes, rebounds, assists, scoring, you know what I mean? And he's starting to feel comfortable. He doesn't have that pressure on him.
Yeah.
He's now kind of removed a little bit from the pressure. And I thought I saw him play some real good basketball next year. And I think his confidence will continue to grow. And at the end of the day, he'll meet the expectations that he originally was, saddled with when he went into the NBA.
Yeah. I think that too. I think many are. We get it. He's a number 1 pick. You have high expectations, and we saw what he did in college. We saw what he did in high school. But I still think there's a future for him. I really do. But like you said, those injury bug, it hurt him. Right. But I still think lots to come. And we talk about the injury bug and players from this area. KD, another one. And let me tell you, Pennington, I always get this question. So I'm going to pose it to you because I'm tired of getting
I'm good with all the questions. Give me anything.
I'm always asked, do you think there will ever be a time that Kevin Durant, KD, will come home and play for a hometown team of the Washington Wizards?
I know a lot of people are hoping and wishing for that. And me growing up as a young man in Washington, I never understood why there was not more energy and effort put into bringing hometown guys back to Washington. Yeah. During the Bob Ferry was the general manager of the Bullets. he cut so many DC guys off the team. He cut Lamont Reed. He cut Garcia Hopkins. He cut Ronnie Hogue. Ronnie Hogue still holds the record for most points in the history of Georgia. Out of all them great players, he got 46 points. He shot 20 of 23. Garcia Hopkins went to Europe, and they had posters with him flying through the air. Lamont Reed had a 44-inch vertical. So I used to get frustrated. I'm like, why they don't bring Adrian Dantley back home? You know what I mean? So it's frustrating as a local fan not to see them put an energy and effort into bringing hometown guys back home.
Yeah.
But as far as KD, I don't know the intricacies of the contracts, and salary caps. You got to have like a finance degree to figure all that stuff out these days.
Yeah.
But obviously, if he came home, the city would be crazy.
Oh, it would be so crazy. Much fun.
And he could walk right into being he could be the mayor when he got done his basketball career. He could just walk and take the mayor's seat. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. Look, KD back home would be just impeccable because that's how much we love Kevin Durant. He's a hometown guy that made it big. And of course, anytime you can come back, there's nothing quite like it. So let me tell you, if that happened, I've said this, and I'll tell you this, Pennington. I see KD maybe coming home at the end of his career. At the end of his career, I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but when he's on that tail end, I can see him coming home. And then just talking about the Wizards, I want to do two things with you. One, I want to talk about: do you think we'll see the Wizards kind of get back to this glory? You talked about the Bullets earlier. Do you see? Well, you think anytime soon we'll see some of that glory transpire over? Because the Wizards, we know this team, right? We know this team. We think about the Caron Butler era, the Gilbert Arenas era. We're now in this Bradley Beal era, I'll say, since John Wall is hurt, even though he's coming back. But do you think we'll get back to that time? Because I remember it was a special time in the city at one point, and we loved basketball. But now you go to Wizards games, it's not the same, quite frankly, Pennington. It's just not. No.
I get it. I started a documentary called Supreme Court. I still have those interviews in the can. I interviewed 100 people, and one of the guys I interviewed was Ted Leonsis.
Yeah,
smooth. Ted smooth. They told me the first thing he did when he got to Washington, he turned the music down so you could hear the sneakers squeak.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. Then he said, I'd make sure that the hot dog, the mustard, and the ketchup bottles always had nothing worse than getting ready to go squirt some condiments on your hot dog and that. And so he's a guy who has an eye for detail.
Yeah.
And the boy's a consummate winner.
Yeah.
And how he stayed the course with the hockey team. They came so close so many times, it would have been easy for him to just give up. Mm-hmm. So what I saw him do with the hockey team, I feel, and the women's basketball team,
they
finally came through.
Yes.
Okay. So I feel confident with Ted Leonsis at the helm that some way, somehow, this guy's just a born winner. Yeah. He told me his first brush with fame was when his mother bought him a basketball and he would play. He was like the point guard at the local playground until the ball was smooth. And then he got another ball at Christmas. So Ted Leonsis, as far as I'm concerned, is my guy.
Yeah.
He's a winner. And I believe that somehow, some way, the program is going to break through and produce a world championship.
I love that. And talking about Ted Leonsis, he was one that also gave props to the documentary. He had tweeted out, another reason to love the DMV, watch this documentary. It's very authentic, honest, and real, all about the love, salvation, and beauty to be found in basketball. Wow. And I think what you just said touched on that for Ted. Wow. And Ted showed love.
Ted, good dude. Good dude.
I love that.
When you talk about people complaining, the tough part is a lot of people anticipated more of a historical piece.
Yeah.
It was more of a human interest story, and the stories intertwined perfectly, and they were emotional. The way Kevin's mom was crying and pulled at your heart.
Yeah.
The whole piece with Curtis Malone, the struggles he had, the fact that Quinn Cook didn't get drafted after taking Duke to the national championship, and his backcourt partner, who was a freshman, gets drafted into the NBA and is running around having fun, and Quick's into the G League.
Yeah.
It's like being a Russian and sending you to Siberia. Are you kidding me? And Quinn weathered the storm. So those are all great human interest stories. So it was a great production, great story. It's just like the guys in DC wanted to see more of a historical piece.
Right.
But I'm thinking about putting an Indigo page together because I got stuff in and raise the money to tell the story of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Nice. Right. The before. I think that'd be great. And then I want to stay with the Wizards. So, of course, we all just finished watching The Last Dance. Some of us rewatching The Last Dance because we missed sports. And, of course, here in D.C., some are like, hey, we wanted to see MJ's days in D.C. So I want you to talk about Michael Jordan's days in the Wizards uniform.
Well, obviously, he's a crowd pleaser.
He is.
So, when he came to Washington, there was a few empty seats here and there. There's some questions about, those yearly ticket sales. But when he came, he filled the gym up.
He did.
So that was a positive thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, Mike got a lot of controversy around him.
He did, if we're being honest, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be real with you. Mike got a lot of controversy. So, I've heard good, I've heard bad. So I don't want to be the guy who drops the bad. But, Mike did his thing.
He did.
He got his people in the seats.
Right.
But as a general manager, that Kwame Brown piece,
I wasn't going to touch on it.
It twisted a few people up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he went to get his shares from Abe, I wasn't in the room and I don't know all the details.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't go as well as he thought it should have gone.
Yeah.
And Abe Pollin, the oldest owner in the league, didn't really feel like he had to answer to anybody or anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And he made what he thought was a sound business decision, which was, right now, I don't need your help, Mike. You know what I mean? I know Mike didn't, it didn't go down well because Mike is not used to hearing no. You know what I mean? That's not something he, is used to. Welcome to the real world, baby. Welcome to the real world.
I appreciate you touching on this. Pennington, this has been such a fun show. We'll definitely have to have you back on. But before I let you go, let people know where they can find out more about you and follow your work.
Well, I have the DC basketball website, which is a virtual online museum.
Yeah.
If any of the ball players out there feel like they want to send me some pictures, some articles, any information on them, I load it all up so you can share with your family, your friends. And in closing, one of the biggest things I did is I started interviewing people. I interviewed a guy named Willie Chicken Breast Lee. John Thompson told me I had to get him if I was his story. I tracked this guy down. It took me like 5 years. I catch him at a convalescent home. They said he went up and got the towel off the top of the backboard. And the piece that he gave me that sticks with me. I asked every great player, what is it like to be in the zone? How do you describe going into the zone?
I like that.
He said, well, there's two ways to describe it. You can out the noise or you can become part of the noise.
Oh, I like that.
I decided to be part of the noise.
That's nice.
So, basketball.com, please bring all your information. I'll load it up for you. If I missed you on the All-Met team or something like that, I'd love to interact with you. And that's the best way to contact me. Or 770-374-4750. I take all phone calls about any basketball subject. I'm ready to talk basketball.
Talk with them. I love it. I love it. PG County, on that full disclosure, I will tell you, Pennington, I'm from Montgomery County, but I show love. Love in the DMV.
I'm down with Montgomery County. I'm down with PG. I'm down with Virginia. Because at the end of the day, we won. We all
DMV.
one.
DMV.
We are one. We are one.
Yes, we are. Pennington, it was so fun having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Such a fun show. Can't wait to have you back.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Keep doing your thing. And you're a professional beyond belief from your preparation, your flyer, the information you gave me.
Thank you.
You are A1, top of the line.
I appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for listening for this edition of Listen In with KNN. You see Pennington Greene. I'm keeping him on my closing screen with me because this was such a fun show. Be sure to tune in next Thursday. I'll be welcoming the Minister of Defense, Orlando Magic forward Jonathan Isaac, to the show. Tune in at 6 p.m. All right, that'll do it for this edition. Hashtag Listen In with KNN or hashtag LIWKNN for your favorite moments of the show. Pennington, thank you again so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye, guys. You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. And catch each broadcast of Listen In with KNN on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on YouTube, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this special live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.